All right, howdy, y'all. As always, God bless America. Today we're going to be going over a Fox News video, talking about the corruption in Trump's trial. We're going to do it in high speed, so let's get straight into it.
Jurors are now deliberating the fate of former President Trump. A verdict could come at any time. We'll be monitoring any and all news coming out of that courtroom all hour. Now, while much legal analysis has been focused on the prosecution, the defense, and Donald Trump as criminal defendant, Judge Merchan has also been under scrutiny. Let's bring in former federal prosecutor, former South Carolina congressman, and host of Sunday Night in America, Trey Gowdy. Trey, tell us your thoughts on the fallibility of the judge and why, as Elise Stefanik has said, he is responsible for potential misconduct behind this.
Well, look, I was a prosecutor, so I kind of lean pro-prosecution. I never had a judge that was actually part of the prosecution team. I mean, he undercut the defense by excluding the expert. Even the tone with which he sustained certain objections and overruled other objections. I mean, yesterday, it was clear to me that the defense just kind of gave up. Because if you object and it's overruled, then the jury thinks that you're wrong, that you're trying to hide something from them, because they identify with the judge. It just seemed to me yesterday there was a certain resignation among the defense attorneys that we're just not going to object anymore, which means the prosecution got away with even more. I mean, they were literally arguing the fact that Michael Cohen pled guilty really is wink, wink evidence that President Trump is guilty. That is stuff that never would have happened if the judge were actually calling balls and strikes with the same strike zone.
And as Andy McCarthy has said, it's literally an orchestration in part of a potential conviction here, Trey. So talk to us, however, much as...
And I don't think they talk about it, but this judge, his daughter, is literally making money off of this case. She's literally advertising and taking money, contributions and donations, while trashing Trump. And Trump has a gag order, so he's not even allowed to defend himself. This is the most corrupt court case in all of American history.
Has been made, especially in the mainstream media, about the judge maintaining not only an impartiality, but essentially a protection by the court of the jury from hearing this. He has told us time and again the court has done everything to protect this types of evidence. I have instructed the jury to, for example, disregard certain things, granted favored heavily, for example, disregarding defense's comments rather than prosecution's, Trey. But at the end of the day, will that be successful?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I mean, juries relate to judges. It doesn't matter how much I don't like his rulings and how I think that some of his evidentiary rulings have been off base. I don't want to say it's the Stockholm Syndrome, but it's tantamount to that. Juries look to judges. That's who feeds them. That's who says we can start late. That's who tells them what you can and can't do when you're on break. I mean, they have a relationship with the judge. So when they see the judge yelling at defense witnesses, but being super nice to Michael Cohen, I mean, he was much tougher to Bob Costello than he was to Michael Cohen. And then you get to the instruction,
which Michael Cohen is a proven perjurer, convicted of lying. He's a convicted perjurer, which that means he's a convicted liar. He lied under oath and was caught. And he gets better treatment than the defense attorney.
It's just solely the province of the judge. I mean, I have to disagree with people who say the jury can pick among a menu or a buffet of 3 crimes. They can be any crime. The jury doesn't even have to specify. It could be a daggum crime in North Dakota. If it was done in furtherance of another crime, the jury does not have to specify what that crime is. I mean, that is a gift to the prosecution.
So against that backdrop, Trey, and under the umbrella of the clear stance this judge has taken throughout the trial, talk to us about the absolute catastrophe that these jury instructions have presented, that vagueness, that lack of specificity. Talk to us about what that means in real terms, that essentially can the jury just select and, well, I guess this one fits, and sure, 4 of us agree, so that's guilty. Is that a wrap? Is that an actual outcome that we might have to be subjected to, former president be subjected to today or tomorrow?
Yeah. Well, I was sitting there this morning with the real legal experts. I'm just kind of a washed-up lawyer, but the real legal experts trying to figure out, when does something become a crime? I mean, to me, it's a crime when you're convicted by a jury or you plead guilty. So if it has to be done in furtherance of a crime, at what point is that word triggered? I mean, does it have to be beyond a reasonable doubt? What are the elements of this alleged additional crime that must be proven? It was so void as to be, I think, unconstitutionally vague. But by the time we figure that out, we'll be well after the election and the political damage will...
And this whole thing is unconstitutional. Like, Trump is the Republican nominee. He has more votes than any other Republican out of all the nominees. And this is corrupt because the judge won't allow cameras in the courtroom. This is the most important case in probably the last 10 years. And we got to watch Johnny Depp in court with all that crap, and then now this is the Republican nominee under investigation in court, and we're not allowed to see. That's how you absolutely 100% know this is political persecution. All the cameras should be allowed in the courtroom. That's how you know it's rigged. They won't allow no cameras in the courtroom so we could actually see what's happening. to our nominee.
Will have been done.
And hopefully any criminal damage, Trey, will be undone, but we hope we don't even have to get there today in this circus of a trial. You, my friend, are an expert legal analysis, and we are grateful for that today. All right, bringing this back to the couch.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, sir. Kaylee, so Trey talks about the political implications of this and the judge's conduct, and especially the background. We know that Elise Stefanik has pointed this out. Jim Jordan has written letters. Where do you see this going, and is it too late?
Yeah, I think a lot of the constitutional grounds we talk about, that would be something reserved for an appeal. We hope that one of the jurors has watched this, and as you know, and I say it over and over again because it's elementary, you learn it in the first day of law school, do the facts match the law? And there has to be, I believe, at least one juror who says, the facts don't seem to match the law. Not everything's adding up here. And we'll see if that moment happens. To the conduct of the judge, Trey wrote this morning. He said, the judge says he does not have an opinion on the case or the defendant's guilt. And I have heard more emotion in hostage videos than the judge has when reciting those rote words. Jonathan Turley, another great attorney who has a way with words, said, when you look at what the judge did yesterday with the defense motions and the prosecution's motions, we know Justice Roberts in his confirmation hearing says judges call balls and strikes. Well, Jonathan Turley said this, for the prosecutors making objections, the strike zone seemed like it stretched from dugout to dugout. For the defense, it seemed the size of a postage stamp. We're not in the room. That's their opinion.
And to her point, Kilmeade, inflections are not reflected in the record. At the end of the day, on appeal, it's all black and white there. So, oh, yes, I did admonish them correctly, admonish meaning the jury. Well, at the end of the day, there might have been a whole color of swaying going on that only those who were there were subjected to.
Right. We don't know these people. We don't know what operates them. We don't know why they got on the jury. We know this. The judge has been nothing but biased from day one. The only thing I could say in terms of what he read off at the end and that's been relayed to us, the verdict cannot rest on speculation. This whole thing is speculation. What did Donald Trump, what did he not know? And they also talk about setting aside your opinions on Trump, just stick to the facts. The facts have him signing these checks in the Oval Office after he was done, as he signs everything on a daily basis. He's basically being convicted for following his attorney's advice.
Tammy.
Well, I think that this is what we've seen here. I think the American people have been appalled. The issue becomes what the jury does. But what's interesting is we have to remember judges are lawyers in a robe. They're just regular people. And so the structure is meant and expects decent people who really are committed to following the nature of the structure itself, that it's not a game. So I think what's happened here, while it's been very difficult for the Trump family and the country, has been invaluable because we've seen how far it can go when people have abandoned the nature of what it is they're supposed to be doing.
But via a sacrificial lamb, that's a former president. There are catastrophic consequences here.
There are. And with the words that you just spoke, Tammy, really touched me. Because you're right. We're watching something that isn't supposed to be broken like this.
That's right.
Yeah, it affects all of us. Emily, if you'll allow me, I'm just going to give some notes on Judge Merchan. Paul Morrow, who was formerly in his office, in the prosecutor's office here in New York before he became a cop, was making calls while we were on the air last hour. And he reached out to the chief administrator and found out that Merchan oversaw the special grand jury. And Paul wants to know, how did he get that job with the conflicts of interest that they already knew? That his wife had worked in the office with Letitia James, the AG, that his wife had worked in that same office with Michael Colangelo, who was the senior counsel that Alvin Bragg just appointed and who gave the opening statements to this case. How did he get that job without maybe checking off some conflicts of interest? He was also, Michelangelo, as you'll remember, the acting associate attorney general in Biden's DOJ. I mean, there are, as Paul pointed out, a lot of web moments. This is like Spider-Man goes crazy and ties everything together. And it really is interesting when you look at the politics. So if things are as broken as Tammy Bruce just laid them out, and we as a nation watch it, the question is the jurors. Will they see it? Well, they weren't sequestered, and they had 7 days off, so they have phones. It would be unfortunate if the system were broken enough that they tap in that way. But we don't know.
Right. And the state OCA spokesman said this is done often because of familiarity with the complex cases.
Right.
To your point, however, perhaps here it merely reflects a bias. Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Compa.
All right, everybody. That was today's video. And if you're a Republican, make sure you're registered and vote. Because all the Democrat states have mail-in voting with the drop boxes. And all these illegal immigrants are going to be voting. Plus all the people that get free money from the Biden administration. Basically, all the people on welfare that don't have a job and don't have to work, they're going to vote for Joe Biden. Like, it's not even a question. And then they're going to have a bunch of dead people voting just like they always do. So if you're a Republican, make sure you're registered and make sure you vote. Because the red wave will not come without you. So if you like the video, like it. If you like it a lot, subscribe for more high-speed news. Till the next time, God bless you.